I'm Vinder Kang. People call me Vinny for short. I interviewed my dad and I asked him a few questions. My dad's name is Thaddeus Kang. He was born in 1967. People call him TJ for short. I asked him a few questions about his immigration journey and about the immigration political issues. So I asked him, what was your life like in India? Did you have freedom? And what was your living conditions? He said he lived in a 4-bedroom house where electricity would be a problem, where it would be cut from 6 to 7 hours a day. He had 11 people in the house. He had his 4 sisters, himself, his mom, dad, uncle, aunt, and cousins, 2 cousins. I asked him, when did you decide to come to America and why? So after finishing 2 years of college, my sister went off to America where she got married. And my sister had a citizenship, and she told me the life is better over here with more opportunities. My father had passed away when I was young, and I had not many opportunities and no one to really advise me. So I took the opportunity and left to America. I asked him, what year did you come here? He said he remembers the exact date, May 26, 1987. I asked him, in the beginning, how was your life? Was it better than India? He said, I only had $20 when I came. The first few months I lived here was with my sister and her husband. And then I left because I was uncomfortable and lived with my uncle in a trailer that consisted of 4 people. I had a car before I left by my sister. One day it would work and the other didn't. Then my uncle bought me a car a few months later. I asked him, did you miss India? Did you feel like it was better in India? He said, I missed India a lot when I was here. I felt like life was easy in India because I was young and my mom was taking care of me. But he knew that there wasn't enough opportunities. So he said, not enough opportunities there, so either way, I needed to come here and stay and make a living to send money to my mom. I asked him, was there a language barrier when you came here? He said, yes, it was difficult to communicate. I knew English as I learned it in a school since I was young. I could understand people, but because of my accent and because of my fluency, I could not explain to them the way I wanted to, and it was hard for people to understand. But I took ESL courses right away and got that covered. I asked him what was the hardest part in adjusting to the American lifestyle. He laughed. He said there was no Indian food every day. He said my life in India consisted of Indian food all day long. And coming here, he hated fast food and the burgers that he was being served. He said, I had no friends when I first came here. I had family, but friends is a different feeling. Everyone was older than me, and I felt like I had to grow up faster. I had no money. I was with no money in my pocket and didn't want to ask my sister for any. I felt like I had everything in India, and I wasn't going anywhere while being here. He felt like he was in a standstill. I asked him, what was your first job? He said, my first job was in a factory where they made horse blankets. I was getting paid $3.65 an hour, which was the minimum wage at that time. I stayed there for a month, and the next 3 jobs I had, I only stayed there for a month. My first full-time job was at Timco's, which was a shipping and handling services. But in my department, we were recording paperwork, and I did that for around 3 years. Also, at that time, I had a part-time job as a security guard at Allied. There, I was getting paid $10 an hour. This was the time when I was making a real living. I also started school for an AA degree in mechanical engineering, but eventually dropped out. Now my dad is a mechanic and he has his own auto shop with a smog test only. So I asked him, when did you decide to become a mechanic and why? He said in 1992, which was the year I was born, he knew he had to do something more serious, something that was a definite income. So he said, I decided to become a mechanic because I always had an interest in cars, and not too many smog technicians were available at that time, and it was in demand. So I decided to get my license. I asked him, do you think there's an issue with the surplus of Mexican Americans into California? He said, I don't have any issues with them. My job loves Latinos. They pay in cash and they're extremely nice. I know others have a problem with it because with the recession like today, people are willing to take any job. But because of the Mexicans coming into California, there has been a lower rate on the unemployment. But the corporations are taking advantage of the Mexicans. They pay them lower than minimum wage and give them hard work that they do not deserve. I asked him, do you think we should be spending so much money on securing the border? He said, we do not need to be spending that much money on the border controls. Mexicans are just looking for a little bit of freedom and want to earn money to feed their family, like me. I may not be Mexican, but I came to America the same reason they did. Most people that come in illegally don't have the money to sponsor them or to enter into the country legally. And the country makes it expensive and hard for them to enter. I asked him, do you think it's fair for the government to make their immigration policies stricter? For example, making it harder for people to migrate into the country. He said, I don't think it's fair because America is a big enough country that has many resources and can allow more people to come in. It's better for people to enter in than to have them starve in their own country. America is a land of opportunity, and it's not fair. He explains, my cousin's wife is having a hard time coming to Canada when her husband is here in Vallejo, while she and her daughter are there for the last 3 years. The government's becoming more stricter. When I entered in, it took me a year. Now it's taking 4 years to become a permanent resident. So those were the questions I asked my dad. He has strong opinions about the Mexicans coming into California or into the United States in general. He feels like the government is taking advantage and should allow it easy for any immigrant to come in. And yeah, so that's my Drama 30 presentation. Thank you.